Hello, can you hear me?
Good afternoon, Prof. I can hear you.
Okay, how now?
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. How are you doing?
It's been a while.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah,
How nice the family.
very fine. You?
Thank God.
Okay, all right. So let's go.
I'm not looking back, sir.
Thank you. So let's go straight to us talking about what you then doing. Okay, so have you started your proposal? Have you presented your proposal?
We have been told to start working on it.
Okay, so your topic is electricity access, and so you started working on it, right?
Additional quality. Yes, sir.
Okay, first and foremost, my first question to you is how do you capture electricity access?
There is a data on, there is a World Bank data on electricity access as a percentage of the population.
Is it access
That is what I'm using to calculate.
or energy per capita? Are you sure it's access or energy per capita they are
No,
using?
it's electricity. Yeah. No, it's electricity access as a percentage of population.
Electricity access or so it would be like electricity available to the population over the years. That's what they'll be doing, right?
Yes.
But are you sure it will not be constant all through? Because you understand, if they say, because it's going to be percentage, right? They will say 70% of the population have access.
Yes, it's in percentage.
They will just say 70% have access, 30% have access, or 50% has access. So for us that our electricity is not really, that value will almost be constant in some of the years. Right?
Okay.
Have you checked the data? Because I'm just looking at it to be almost constant in some of the years.
Yes, I've checked the data on that. It's just okay. Maybe I should open my system, but it's the way they measure it is on electricity access as a measure as a
So I know it's a
percentage of the population.
percentage score, but my point is that in some of the years, because our electricity is not improving, right? If it's 70%, it will be 70% for like some years. It will be almost constant in some years. That's what will be happening in some of the years.
Okay.
Yes. But that's not even the issue. My next question to ask is that on the point of what you are doing is how can you explain, because income inequality. So how does electricity access, resolve income inequality, if you want to think about it as a topic, right? Because if you say 20,
okay.
so if you say about 60% have access to electricity, how does that translate to reducing or widening the income inequality? Can you think about that?
Yes, the thinking is about those who have access to electricity. For instance, maybe if you look at it in terms of SMEs now, SMEs and households who use electricity to as a means of livelihood. Maybe the artisans and mostly artisans and the SMEs who use electricity as a key input in their operation. It's possible that if they have access to electricity, it will improve their business operations, and then that will improve their income. That's just my thinking about it.
Okay, that looks a bit fine. But the other question, how does institution come in? Because I'm asking this question because all of this you have to think through all of this process first. How does institution play a role on that link between them?
Yes, institution in the sense that if there is because what I read from studies is that corruption hinders electricity improvement, particularly in Africa, in the sense that if you have strong institutions, those in terms of regulatory aspect of it, and it's to ensure that the institutional capacity to provide electricity to the people, and then ensure that institutional capacity in the sense that provide electricity to people, and then ensure that those who demand to have access to electricity and having access to electricity, then that institution in that will play a key role. And then another thing is that some study also show that even where there is high corruption, people pay bribes to circumvent the normal process of electricity payment. They also have access to electricity in that sense. So that's the way I'm thinking of bringing
two things
quality or capacity.
Okay, so let me say, when a country corruption is so high, right? It also means that, don't forget, it also means that people cannot bypass the process of having access without paying for the electricity. I hope you know. Especially in a formalized system, right? In a formalized system, SMEs can have access to electricity without paying for it because corruption is so high. You can bribe EKDC or any of these guys, and that will give you access without paying. And in that way, it will be a loss to the electricity generating companies, right? But on the other way around, is that if electricity, if our institutions are strong, knowing fully well that one of the reasons why our public infrastructures are not properly provided is because of high level corruption vis-a-vis weak institutions. So if fiscal institutions are very strong, there's possibility that the few money we are spending can provide a lot in terms of public infrastructure, of which electricity is one of them. And if our electricity infrastructure improves, then that will also drag down the cost, or what we call the electricity tariff that is being paid. And that can give more access to it. And as we have more access, production will increase, output will increase, and then income will increase, and then the gap that we have in terms of inequality can also reduce. Maybe from that angle. Because the first thing to think about beyond literature is to think about the link between your variable or between what you want to do, right? So that thinking is very important. So I think that's what I can think through with what you are saying. But also don't forget that income inequality is not affected by electricity access alone. Imagine that with corruption being institutional reason is one of the reasons why we have a widening income inequality in this part of the world. Institutional issues, physical institutions, for instance, right? So imagining in your mind that institutional quality reduces, income inequality reduces because we have strong institutions. Because anywhere there are strong institutions, you also see this gap reducing, this widening gap being curtailed. So if that happens also, people who have money to have access to electricity access. So it means that the effect can also go from reducing income inequality to be able to have access to electricity. Do you get the point?
I got that.
Because what drives income inequality might not really be electricity access alone. It can be other factors like the institutional quality. And countries where institutional qualities are so strong, that gap in inequality is reduced. So why it's widening in this part of the world is also because of weak physical institutions that we have. But if institutions become strong and several other factors begin to do well, the income inequality will begin to reduce. Don't forget that one of the power of taxation, tax is to redistribute income. That's one of the power of tax. In a proper tax system, income will be revenue. What we call it, there will be proper redistribution of income. in a proper system, because you see that people will pay the right tax, and then they'll be able to provide the right infrastructure, and then income inequality will begin to reduce. So that comes from institutional angle that can begin to reduce that. And when that inequality reduces, it will have implication of people having access to electricity, that is, being able to pay for it. Because currently now, so many people don't have so good income to be able to pay for that, pay for tariff. Therefore, they will even bypass the system because the system is corrupt. So my point is that these things are intertwined, even without looking at the legislation. They are intertwined. It can come from, in fact, that's why it can also run from institution back to access, from access back to they are intertwined. That's my point. Okay, that's fine. My second question I want to ask, if you get the understanding, it means that you are going to almost have about 3 objectives. If it's something that is doable, if you have your data. Before I come to your data, it means that you want to look at first the influence of electricity access on income inequality, right? And then the influence of institutional quality on inequality. Because, like I have said, fiscal institutions have a way of ensuring fair distribution of income, and that will reduce the income inequality. So there will be a direct effect from institution to income inequality. There will be a direct effect from access to income inequality through production. But there can also be a third relationship, which is that if there is strong institution, there's possibility that people will have access to, because corruption will reduce. Therefore, infrastructure that should be provided for electricity generation will also improve, and then therefore it will give room for more access, right? That will reduce income inequality. So that's a third objective. A fourth objective that somebody might trouble you about is to say, because the institution is a major player in terms of income what we call income redistribution, right? It's a strong player, and if institutions are very strong, then there's possibility that the income gap will reduce, and so many people have a lot of income to be able to pay for premium, pay for tariff, and have access to electricity. So that can be like a reverse causality that will run from there also. Do you get the point? Right? Yeah. So these are like about 4 things that are doable, that you can think through. You can think through to see what you can do. Okay. The next question I want to ask is: have you checked your data? How many countries do we have data availability? Have you checked that?
Yes. The
Hello, can you hear me? It's like your network has kicked you out, right? Okay, Olaji, are you back? Hello?
Okay, sir. It's my network.
Yes, I know. So you were saying something. I was trying to say how many countries you have access to in terms of data.
Yes,
Because
I said, yes, I have data. The data on LTC aspect is it runs from the 1996 to 2022.
that's how many years? That is about
So
96 to 2022 is how many years now?
that should be
That's about 26
that should be
years.
around 40 yes, for 26 years.
How many? Okay, so you also consider institutional data also start around that 1996, right?
Yes.
Okay, so income
But
inequality.
the challenge I have,
Okay.
yes, the challenge I have is just that income inequality, because most of the variables the data are not complete in most cases. So
Yeah.
sometimes you have sometimes you have data for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So
Okay.
that is the area but some studies I don't know, they did something kind of forecast. I don't know if that is allowed.
Oh, forecast. If it's forecast, yeah, forecast. I'm sure. Is it forecast or they are? Is it forecast they are doing, or they are trying to fill in the gap for data that is not available?
Yes, they are trying to fill in that gap for
But
maybe
that's not
years
forecast.
that
So
were
they'll be
not
doing they'll be doing things like moving average or some other approach to fill in.
yes, something like that.
But that can lead to issues about serial correlation or some other issues that you come across. I think you need to think through to ensure that the data is available first, which is very, very important. Because it's a panel, you might not really trouble yourself about you must start from 1996. But how many years now are you also thinking about?
Okay.
How many years are you
Okay.
thinking? How many years are you thinking about?
Yes, I'm thinking from
Eh? How many countries? I mean,
2000
no. How many countries are you thinking about?
yes, from 2000 to 2022.
That is also fine. Now that's about 22 years. So my point is that how many
Yes.
countries are you thinking about?
I'm thinking about like 48 sub-Saharan African countries.
So if I get very well, it means that 48, if you have about 48 countries, you should be in the neighborhood, you should be fine with a GMN. I don't know whether that is the method you are thinking about. What method are you thinking about?
Well, for now, I'm thinking about, I read something on panel fully modified ordinary list.
No, because your years are your years are too small, right? I'm saying that you are going to have less years in terms of 20 or less than 20 years with what you have. The time series dimension of your data is too short. So to do panel fully modified, you should be dealing with issues about unit root, panel unit root, which cut across what we call homogeneous and heterogeneous. In fact, before you even look at homogeneous and heterogeneous, the first consideration is to see whether you have issues about first generation or second generation panel unit root tests, which should be determined by issues about a cross-sectional dependence. So if you do a cross-sectional dependence test and there's cross-sectional dependence, then you do second generation. If there's no cross-sectional dependence, you do a first generation panel unit root test. So my point is that the time dimension of your data is not that long. So you should not be troubling yourself with panel fully modified. But since you have about 48 years against shorter time dimensions, my advice would be to look at something like GMM, and I'll give you one of the reasons why you should think about GMM, whether it is system GMM or whatever GMM. You know, because you have institution in your data, and income inequality have direct link with institution. Institution can also have link with them, so there can be a causality by causality effect from both sides, which can lead you to a heterogeneity problem. I think I just explained to you that if institutions are strong and if income inequality reduces, right, that reduction in income inequality can make people to have access to electricity also. So it means that there can be a reverse effect running from income inequality back to electricity access. And that reverse causality is an heterogeneity issue. And one of the key, simplest way to resolve heterogeneity issue is what we call an instrumental variable technique. And in the panel space, there are two of them. We have the panel instrumental variable that was suggested by Ishiayu and Adanson, right? Which is no more in use like that. But we now have what we call the panel GMM, which is called the GMM approach, that was given by Arelino Abond, later expanded to the several form of GMM that we have. So because your countries are many as against your time, I'm thinking that the GMM will be useful because you are going to be facing institutional, you're going to be facing an heterogeneity problem also. So that's the kind of advice. Yes. So think around a GMM, read about a GMM, right? And then around how GMM is heterogeneity issue. But in your problem statement, all of these discussions that we have had should reflect very well. Because it's going to come from, if institutions are strong and inequality is, there is income redistribution, proper income redistribution in a country, because institutions are very strong, income inequality will reduce. And when it reduces, people will have access to be able to buy electricity tariff and afford electricity tariff. That reversal can come. And that is the heterogeneity issue. But access will also give room to more people to do production. And as more production takes place also, more income will reduce the income inequality. That's also one channel. So those are issues that you want to look into. Is that existing, or does it? So that's one area that will come up. The other issue is that as institutions are also very strong, because mostly electricity is more of still in the hand of the public. Therefore, infrastructure with regards to electricity will improve because of strong institution, and corruption will reduce. So there will be proper of infrastructure to electricity vis-a-vis, improving the electricity generation and distribution and all of that, and transmission. Therefore, access will also increase. And when access increases, that will make income inequality to reduce. So all of these dimensions of discussions will reflect in your problem statement. And then you now take from there to go and write out about the 4 questions that I've raised now, right? Does access have influence on income inequality? Does institution play a role in income inequality? Is there a mediating role of institution on the link between access and income inequality? And on the other way around, is income inequality even having a role to play on access? If you don't want to go to the backward effect, by having another model where access is a function, then you use a GMM to take out the heterogeneity problem. You get my point?
Okay, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Another issue okay.
No. So my point, so go ahead, look at your data and look at your data properly. One of the things I did when I was doing my work was to ensure that my data is available. After I've talked through the issues and the problem, right?
Okay.
If it's worth researching, is there a link between these issues beyond theory? And theory will always be there somewhere. Literature will always be there somewhere, but think it through. Is this something that makes economic sense as an economist? And then if the data available, if you have established your data point and all of that, then you can now proceed. So look around the data and be sure before you take a step. Okay. And then my next advice to you is that do a proper literature review on this issue first, a proper one. After you establish your data, do a proper literature review before you write, because that will give you a better understanding about the perspective. Yes. Okay, so you wanted to say something?
Yes. The issue of research problem. research, writing of research problem statements.
Yeah.
I read somewhere, I'm not too sure that it shouldn't be more than 3 paragraphs. I don't know how true that is.
I don't want to. I don't want to say that is correct or that is not correct. I don't want to. People make all those statements. You can write your research problem in a page, in 2 pages, in 3 pages, depending on what you are putting across. So, but for me, my advice is that don't write more than a 2-page research problem. Right? Don't let people say that it must be 1 page, it must be 3 paragraphs. No, there's nothing like that.
There's
right?
no rule.
There's no rule to say it must be 3 paragraphs, please. You can write as up to a page, up to 2 pages. I always advise that let it not too lengthy to about 3 pages. No. So the key thing is to be able to articulate the problem. That is the main issue. If you're able to articulate your problem, you're fine. It mustn't be 3 pages. 3 paragraphs. No, nobody. There is nothing like that. I've had people say it, but I always not talk to them. I always not say anything because they are just saying all of those things in their own mind. So I don't think it's correct. Don't let me say they are wrong. I don't think it's correct. You can write a full page research. My thesis, I have about 2 pages research problem. So when I was done, I remember my research problem became an introduction of a paper that I brought out, because you understand. So it's not that is not true. You can write more than a page. You can write up to 2 pages. I've even seen people writing up to 3 pages. The key issue is to be able to articulate the problem. Some of these issues we are discussing are the issues.
Articulate the problem.
Yes, that is a major thing. It's articulate the problem. That is the key issue. Most times people don't know how to articulate the research problem, because the research problem, when somebody reforms this issue we are discussing, are already leading to questions already. So that is what research problem is about. It must lead to your research questions. So it's a proper articulation that is the major thing. Yes.
Wow. Thank you, sir. Is there any other way you want me to?
No, for me,
what you have asked me,
I would just advise that first go and read the literature very well, right? And from the literature, because beyond the fact that we're able to reflect on the issue together, we're able to reflect on the possible methodology together. The key issue is to look at the literature review, do a proper literature search, and from literature and be able to situate your topic within a gap. What you understand? Because it's possible that somebody would have done what you are doing. So what is it that you are doing that is different in what has been in the literature is very important. So go and look at the literature, review the literature, because you even understand the issues better. Some of the dimensions I'm talking about, you understand them better. So from there, when you understand it better, you're able to situate your topic within a gap. Is there even a gap? Okay, has anybody not done anything around what you are thinking already? When you situate that, then you can proceed. And then finalize about your data before you proceed. So that you won't get to a point where the data is not existing. Since your topic is so clear about the kind of data that you are looking for already. Okay? So in the course of your writing, and you still think that you need to talk to me, feel free. Just let me know, and then I will come back and then we'll have that discussion again.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. I want to appreciate you for giving me your time, sir.
So what
thank you, sir.
Is this?
God bless
I'll be doing, can you hear me? I'll be doing this a lot, not only to you, but to several people. I'm also going to invite 1 or 2 of my friends to be able to speak with you people once in a while. So the idea is that we'll be having section not only with me, but with other people. I'll be having section I'll also bring some of my friends, so that as we are talking, they will also be more perspective as time goes on. So what I tend doing is that some of these discussions I begin to have a YouTube page I've created where, as we are discussing, I put it for you to, you can even listen to it again. Other people can also go and learn from it. Other people can also learn from. So I'll just post them so that people can learn from, not only you, because there are some people that there are things we'll later begin to discuss about writing research problem. How does it look like? Some of this, how do you write your objective? So first look at your literature review, and then look at a gap. Even with time, you still want to come back to me to say, is there even a gap and all of that? So people will be able to learn how to identify gap. So all of this proper discussion will begin to come in. So I begin to put people go and learn instead of me coming back again to meet people on the same thing. Hello. So, Bolaji, later now I'll make it available for you to listen to again on YouTube and on even on Facebook for others to also learn.